morning, everyone. Good morning, upper school. Good morning, upper school. Shout out to the 9th grade over in the Rose Room. 10th grade, you rotated. Okay, equity, we like that. Welcome, everyone, to the second Leadership Speaker Series here at the Archer School for Girls this year. We are so grateful to have another esteemed panel of women who are leaders in their field and making a huge impact in the world and the community around them. As you know, our mission at Archer is to educate the future female leaders of this country and help each and every one of you realize your true potential. And part of doing that is helping you to imagine who you can become, to really expand your dreams and expand your horizon for your own goals, personal goals. So we are very grateful to our panel here this morning. Without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Maya Winkler, who's going to moderate this morning, and let's do it.
I feel like I'm having deja vu right now, just a little bit. Welcome, everyone. This is our second Leadership Speaker Series, and again, we have such wonderful women here to share their knowledge and wisdom. Shout out to the 10th grade again. Claps. They're there. We know they're there. Last time we could hear them, but I don't know. I guess they're really paying attention. And this time, something new, very, very exciting. This whole panel is actually being live streamed. So on Facebook, and then the whole video will be on YouTube. So that is very, very exciting. So you can go back and watch this whole thing over and over and over and over again, because I know that's what you want to do on your Friday off. Anyway, without further ado, I am so, so excited to be here, but I'd like to bring up Maya Wernick and Jayla Brown to introduce our panelists.
All right, so first up we have Ms. Smith Enowai. Ms. Smith Enowai is an Archer parent and is on the Archer Board of Trustees and is the Executive Vice President of Entertainment Diversity, Inclusion, and Communications at CBS Entertainment, where she expands upon the division's current diversity initiatives and develops new programs that recruit, nurture, and hire diverse talent to work in front of and behind the camera. She also serves as the entertainment liaison to multicultural coalition groups and provides outreach to agencies, guilds, and other industry organizations that represent diverse talent. In 2009, Ms. Smith Enowai created and launched CBS On Tour, a community outreach program in which executives visit schools and educate and encourage students interested in entertainment careers. Next we have Meredith Bear. Ms. Bear is also on the Archer Board of Trustees and is the founder of Meredith Fairholme, the premier home staging company in the nation. Since 1998, she and her team work with homeowners and realtors to turn on-the-market houses into alluring homes that feel luxurious and desirable. Meredith Fairholme has one of the largest inventories of furniture and home decor and also offers luxury furniture leasing and private interior design throughout Los Angeles, San Francisco, New York, the Hamptons, and Miami.
Ms. Delgado is a founding partner of Archer Development. Archer creates designs and builds exceptional housing communities and commercial projects throughout the Southwest. She has been an economic development professional for over 17 years and has created 3.3 million square feet of retail, office, and housing projects. In 2015, Ms. Delgado was elected to the City Council of the City of Montebello and was recognized for Real Estate Forum as one of California's Women of Influence. So please welcome her up. Ms. Garfalo is a partner at DLA Peer and has extensive trial and litigation experience defending and prosecuting complex civil matters involving healthcare, professional negligence, real estate, and shareholder and partnership disputes. She represents and rosters of celebrities and is adept at resolving sensitive matters both in and out of the courtroom. She has a significant experience handling the Fifth Amendment issue implicated in parallel civil, criminal, and regulatory proceedings. So please welcome her up.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you. I think the last panel we learned a lot, and that was sort of more film entertainment focused. So we are really, really excited to have a diversity of panelists with us. As you may have noticed, these women mostly work in law, politics, or business, so we're really, really excited to hear their knowledge, their wisdom. Let's get started. In a few sentences, could each of you share what draws you here to be with us today?
I'll start. What draws me here today is I think that I've always been a huge proponent of girls' education, and where else would I rather be than with these fabulous young minds here? As you mentioned, my daughter is in 8th grade, Vaughn, and just the experience of what we've witnessed since she's been here, the growth and the confidence that she has really, I think, solidified why I want to be here more than ever this morning.
Go down the line.
I am a huge fan of this school and of all of you, and I believe in you, and I know that you are going to take over the world. And anything I can do to help, I want to do it. That's why I'm here.
I'm actually super excited to be here today. I'm a all-girls school alum. I went to Westridge, and my daughter goes to Westridge. But I actually feel like I'm a part of the Archer family. My sister works here, and she tells me all about your lives and who you are, and anything I can do to help you fulfill your dreams is something that would be just an honor for me. So.
I'm here mainly because I spent so much time in traffic in front of the school. I was really curious to see what was going on inside. But I am a tremendous believer in girls' schools and education focused on leadership. I work with a lot of young women in a profession that's dominated to this day by men. And I think learning how to function in those environments and be who you are and not worry about what the men around you or what the traditions in certain businesses tell you to be. And I think schools like this are the key to learning those skills.
Thank you so much. Ms. Garofalo, actually, we'll stick with you for a second. In your law career, what's a time where you felt most victorious?
I went to law school late, actually when my older son started college. And interestingly, I was first in the entertainment business. I worked on The Tonight Show years ago, and then did interior design while my children were growing up. So I started law school. I was older than most young lawyers. I never really intended to be a litigator. It sort of happened. And in 2000, I did a trial in the Anna Nicole Smith case, where I represented a doctor who was accused of overprescribing medications to Anna Nicole Smith, who was a celebrity and actress. It was a 3.5-month trial. It was great. There were cameras around, something I had always avoided. And my client, who was right, was acquitted on all 6 felony counts. And I think that was a moment where I realized how wonderful our jury system is, that these jurors could understand cases and do the right things. And of course, winning in a case where you believe in your client and feel your client has been unfairly prosecuted was just, at least for me, that was the highlight of my career.
Is it ever difficult to separate your emotions from such difficult trials?
It is. I think the longer you practice, the easier it becomes. At the beginning, and when I say beginning, probably the first decade that I practiced, it is sometimes difficult. I do both civil and criminal litigation, and the criminal is the tough one because people's liberty is at stake. And it is not as difficult emotionally when you have a client that may be guilty, but when you have a client who you believe is innocent, you do become involved. It is very difficult to stay neutral and, not to care greatly about the outcome of the case.
Thank you so much. Ms. Delgado, do you mind sharing something that you are most proud of in your political career?
Actually, the thing that I'm most proud of in my career was before I really had one. I actually remember the date so well. It was April 1st, 1995. And that was the day that I got my acceptance letter to Stanford, which was my ultimate dream school. Like, I never imagined I could ever get into school. And the reason that still is the most important day of my life, one, because it was April Fool's, and the time of is the big envelope days, so you got an envelope when you got into your schools. I was alone, and going to college, I was the first one in my family to go to college. My dad has a kindergarten education, and my mom has a 5th grade education. My grandpa said that my mom couldn't go to school because she was a woman. And that's what they believed culturally. And for me to be able to then come here, go to an amazing all-girls school, and get into Stanford was just unbelievable. So still the most important thing that I've ever experienced, and something that I just never thought I could achieve. So hopefully you each have that story.
Thank you
there.
so much. That's so powerful. Yeah. Ms. Baird, do you mind tackling that same question of a time you felt most victorious?
It's hard to say when I felt most victorious. I went to sort of a private school. I grew up on the grounds of San Quentin Prison. My dad was associate warden there, and I went to a one-room schoolhouse. So I'm very jealous of all you girls getting to go to this wonderful school. I got a degree in journalism. I then accidentally got into doing some acting. I was then a screenwriter. And at 50, I accidentally started what's now like a $200 million company in design. Don't ask me. I just think that for me, victory has been like getting up every day, or Elizabeth, one shovel at a time for the school, right? It's just really getting up every day and doing it. I guess if I'm the most proud, I would say that I started a business at 50 and just went to work, worked hard, and I didn't borrow any money. I took my profits and I took it back into the business. I just ran with the ball when I saw there was an opportunity. And along the way, I hired people that I liked and were hardworking, and that's it.
When you were just building your business, what did a day look like right at the beginning?
Well, in the very beginning, what had happened is I had fixed up a house I was leasing, and I fixed it up so well that the owner came to town and said, "I love what you did. You're going to need to get out because I'm going to sell it." So I was a practical girl, and I wanted to save money. So I had a friend who was trying to sell a house, and I said, how about I bring my 250 potted plants and all my furnishings and put them in your house, and then when the buyers come through, they'll see how you could live in the space. And he said, okay. I did it. The house sold in a couple days for $500,000 over asking with multiple offers. And someone said, will you do that for me? And I went, yes, sure. Then I had to run around figuring out how I was going to get the furniture, who I was going to borrow it from. So in the beginning, I carried furniture around. I just pretty much did everything. And if someone was standing in front of me, I said, well, can I hire you to help me? And that was the beginning. And then later, I had other people who I thought had the same talent I did. Not necessarily a design degree, because I didn't have a design degree. And they'd do one house and I would do another. So it just really was a matter of waking up, going to meetings, delivering, and delivering on time.
So great, thank you. Ms. Anawai, do you mind sharing what you're most proud of?
Yes, what I'm most proud of probably comes from being a little bit of a bittersweet story. It was the death of my father that was the catalyst for something that I'm most proud of. My father passed away. I had been a publicist at CBS for many years, and I spent so many long hours on sets begging celebrities to do interviews, and I felt that I was like, God, this isn't the best use of my time. And the death of my father gave me a time to really look back on what I really wanted to do. And what I noticed within the television industry was that I wanted to see more faces that looked like mine. I wanted to see more faces in front of and behind the camera that had other stories to tell. And so I created a PowerPoint, and I scheduled a meeting with my boss, and I walked in and said, I don't think you realize how smart I am. You're not managing me in the most effective way. This is where television is going. And he was taken back a little bit, like, who's this little girl in here telling me that I'm not managing her effectively? But I could see in his eyes, you know, when you get someone and you can see in their eyes that you made a difference, and he respected that I came with value added to the corporation. And I was able to create the position that I have now. I started off on my own. It was just me and then an intern, and that's why internships are so important. Please get those internships. And then I have a team of 6 people now, so that's my most, I would say my most proud moment thus far, but I'm still just getting started.
What is the most exciting part of your job?
The most exciting, I think that every day that I'm able to say yes to someone is the most exciting. When I'm breaking a new writer, a new director, a new actor, and all of these rich voices that have been really kind of ignored for so many years, that they flourish. So when I see someone on television that's written by, or you see that actor, or you see that you said yes to someone, and that's what is so exciting. And I get to do that like every day. So it's very fulfilling.
Yeah.
Not that it's not hard, believe me. I mean, it's still called work, you know, that's the other thing. It's a job, but it is definitely my passion.
So great, thank you. You know, yeah, I think we hear a lot, do what you love what you do. And I think that's hard, especially as we go into college, where, you know, we have one mindset, okay, I'm here to do this. So it's nice to know that that you can actually love what you do for a living. That's good to know.
I think we all do.
Yeah. So, and I'm going to open this to anyone who would like to answer. What do you know now that you wish you had known when you began your career? Anyone who'd like to speak?
What I know now is I can do it. I didn't know that then. And launching a career, especially one that's pretty intense, is a scary thing. And it is a matter of keeping your eye on what your goal is, and also keeping an open mind and doing things that you might not have expected or thought you wanted to do. Again, I never, ever, ever, when I was sitting where you guys are, if anybody ever told me that I'd be in a courtroom, I would have laughed. Never even thought about it. And it's learning to be who you are and what you are, and maximizing those qualities and not looking at other people. How you learn from other people, but not thinking that the way it's always been done is the way to do it.
Yeah, I agree. Somebody once said to me, just follow the trail of what interests you. And it was like the best advice I ever got. I also think you aren't meant necessarily to do one thing your whole life. And I think a lot of us think, okay, I'm going to go to college, I'm going to do that. We were just talking about that. And that's it. That's who I am, and that's what I'm going to do. But the truth is, sometimes you experience something and you think, oh no, I think I want to go that way. But if you just pay attention to what interests you day to day, every day you wake up, you'll get to the right place.
I think for me, what I've learned now is that I don't have to ask for permission, and even permission from people around you who support you, that if there's something that you're passionate about, you should just go for it. And perhaps the other lesson for me has been that the experience that I'm seeking may not be a linear one. So I studied something completely different than I actually do on a day-to-day basis. And I worked in that for years. And it didn't work out, and my mom was very disappointed. But it turns out, in my mission to transform communities, to build communities, that experience that I got in public administration, which is my degree, came back when now I'm a politician. So Although those experiences I had originally thought were failures or things that I did wrong, they come back and help you in different ways.
Absolutely. I agree with that. I mean, I think that the biggest thing that I wish that I had known then is that you don't have to have all the answers. I played chess with myself every night before before a decision was made. Okay, if I figure it out this way, but what if this happens? And then what if that happens? I what if myself to death. And so stop what ifing. I think that that was one of the things where it was very important that you don't have to have all of the answers. And now I know that.
Ms. Delgado, I have a question specifically for you. In this political climate, what do you think is, when you wake up every day, what is your mantra? What do you say to yourself that keeps you going?
That's a very timely question. Right now we're experiencing quite a bit of turmoil locally with some of these sexual harassment issues. In my jurisdiction, our senator is one of the folks who is actually right now he's been taken, all his leadership positions have been taken away. And the thought is that a woman needs to take that seat. And apparently mine is a short list of 5. And I have only been in office 2 years, and I am a shy person. I never thought that was gonna happen. Like your story about the courtroom, I never thought that was going to happen. It is very scary. But I am reminded of a moment when I was actually 8 years old. And my grandmother, who was the person that I loved the most, she was such a kind, giving person. She was very humble, came here from Zacatecas, Mexico, and in an era with no cell phones, everybody knew that when you're coming from Zacatecas to LA, you could stop at her home and get a meal and a change of clothes. And she always had like a line of 4 people that I had no idea who they were, and they would, and I don't know how she did it. She had 10 kids, and they lived in like a 3-bedroom home in Boyle Heights. And she gave still every day. And I remember when I was 8 years old, she put me aside and she said, "You were born different, and you must give back and continue a legacy of giving." And I had no idea what she was talking about, really none. But I didn't get a lot of individual time with her because she had 10 kids and like, a couple dozen grandkids. So that moment has always been with me. And when I think about being discouraged in politics, because more than not, I am discouraged in politics because I'm doing it, I don't even take a check. I'm doing it because I want to give back because my grandmother said I had to. And she passed away when I was 13. So, that legacy of always giving back is something I'll never forget. But to see that not everybody does it for those same reasons is very discouraging. And because many men control the industry, some with not the best intentions, not all. There are many wonderful men in politics. I think it is time for women to stand and move forward into positions in politics and run. And it's not easy, but we need to do it so that, we can change the way things are run.
What is the What is the youngest age you think you could get involved in politics?
Gosh, I've seen people. There's youth commissions, so you can actually be 16 years old and be on a commission in many, many jurisdictions. But I have seen volunteers on my campaign be powerful, and they're 18 years old. Isabella is my daughter. Her and her classmates come and volunteer. And it is at that age that people start to notice you. I almost ran for office when I was 25 years old. I didn't because I ended up getting pregnant. I was married, I got pregnant, and so I didn't do it at that time. And then I ran again when I was 38. So I'm not the youngest at all. And I think 21 is great. You can already do it. Actually, I endorse a woman who wants to run for school district, and she's 21. So it is not about age. It is about aligning yourself with people who can help you achieve your dreams. And age is an issue for experience level, but if you are aware that you need to surround yourself with people that you can trust, you can achieve many things despite your age.
That's awesome. Thank you. I'll open this question up again to whoever would like to speak to it. I think when people think of all girls schools, immediately they think mean girls. Oh, the mean girl stereotype. Oh, it must be so intense. And we are at a very rigorous academic institution, but I don't think the mean girls thing is true. Are there myths that you think are worth dispelling about women or the mean girl stereotype in any of your industries?
Well, I think, I have experienced mean girls in my life at different stages. In high school, some mean girls flushed my bathing suit down the toilet, I mean, some of the popular girls made fun of me because I smiled all the time. They put up a big picture making fun of me with big teeth and stuff like that. At different times I have experienced mean girls. I've experienced mean boys. I've experienced mean people, but I don't think that a school has to have any mean girls. I think it really is up to us to be kind to one another, to look out for one another, to know each other's names and know a little about each other. And I think if you just put out that effort, and there just isn't any reason for it, because I think mean people aren't probably just mean people anyway. And but I do think there are mean people probably anywhere you go.
I think that one of the things when you said that it can be a myth or a stereotype, it's something that I work with day in and day out in my particular role. I think that you see it often perpetuated in media, in movies, that mean girl mentality. That is something that continues to go on because of, I would say, unconscious bias as well as very, very conscious bias. There's one and the two. So when you say what are the myths, in my role, I would say that something that I deal with every day, and I think I'm gonna get t-shirts made. When I say that I work in diversity, the one thing, and I can see, remember I'm always talking about that I look in people's eyes? I do that a lot. And if you speak to me, you'll notice that I'll look in your eyes. And I'll say diversity, and I can look in someone's eyes and I can see in their eyes that they're thinking black. And that's the first thing all of the time, like diversity is synonymous with black. Like we'll be in casting sessions. Oh, I'm like, gosh, this is set in San Francisco. Why does doesn't look like San Francisco? And they'll say, oh, well, there's a black person in the crew or in the cast. And it's like, oh, I guess we're done. Let's wrap it up. I guess, we're done for the day. So I think that when you perpetuate stereotypes, and that's something that I do, but it's one of the things where I'm trying to break those bad habits, then the more that we see, and I see that all of the time, when I'll say that my daughter attends school here, oh, how are the girls? They're wonderful, they're delightful. And when I can combat that with that, where, oh, are you worried about the mean girls? No, I'm not. I'm not, and I'm emphatic about that. So I think that the more that we can are there mean people? Of course, but that's the world that we live in. But I think that it's something that gets attached to women and girls much more than they do young boys or young men.
Ms. Garofalo, I think that in the law profession, are there ever times where you are, you're dealing with a trial and you need to put on your let's go zone, right? Is bossiness ever a problem amongst women? Is there ever extreme competition because of that?
Bossiness is a word that's not a big favorite of mine. I do think that in professions like law, there are women who, two things happen. One is you have to be a lot more focused, a lot more direct, and sometimes a lot more aggressive than a man starting in the same place you are to get noticed. And unfortunately, it's a fact. It is a lot better now and a lot different than it was 20 years ago, but it still exists. So then there is the label. Well, you're controlling, you're too aggressive, you look like Hillary Clinton. I can't tell you how many times I've heard that from judges all the way down, and it was not meant as a compliment. So some women do stand out, and it is very easy to label. I have been in depositions with men where literally they get up and get into fights, fist fights, physical fights with one another. Oh, it's laughed about, isn't that cute, whatever. And the minute a woman raises her voice in a deposition, it is, well, look at her, what a B word, or what, how awful is this woman. And it really is a matter of learning to negotiate those waters, to moderate it. I am now a lot more adept at handling those situations without losing my temper, without appearing too aggressive. It took me a long time to learn it. And it's true to some extent that you shouldn't have to sort of soft pedal things while you're really trying to get something and get somewhere. But sometimes you have to do it, and there are certain men, again, let's take a deposition where people ask questions and it can get very intense. Sometimes, just smiling and ignoring something that somebody says is a lot better way to deal with it and get on with what you need to get on with than doing what I traditionally did, which is just, getting right in this person's face and telling them you can't do this. I think men struggle with similar issues, but they're not called aggressive or controlling or, bossy or all the bad names that women get. I do think, and I think it's accelerated in the last maybe 5 to 7 years, it is getting a lot better as you see more women in my profession, judges, more women in high offices, in the district attorney's office, more women partners at law firms, although still very few litigation partners are women, which is unfortunate. But it is getting better, and it is an issue, and at some point you are all going to face it, from a professor, from a fellow student, where you say something that a guy would say and nobody would bat an eyelash at it, and it becomes, isn't she terrible, just like Hillary Clinton. And, it's just something to deal with. It's not insurmountable, and it doesn't and shouldn't stop you from what you need to do and where you need to get.
Thank you. Yeah. Did you have a mentor in law school or afterwards to teach you that grit?
I never had a woman mentor. I had a male mentor, a very well-known lawyer, trial lawyer, who just liked women, and I'm not talking about a harassment, sexual kind of thing. He was very supportive of women. He was more comfortable with women than he was with men, interestingly. And he was a great mentor. There were so few women doing what I was doing. There was nobody out there to mentor you. And again, that's changed. And in the law profession, at least, in the last 5 to 10 years, a number of organizations have sprung up for women that are just about networking and developing business, because that's what it's all about, at least as a lawyer. And we didn't have that. Those support groups are there now, and they're wonderful, and it really is a very different environment.
Thank you. We'll go off of that mentor question. What is, either female or male, a piece of advice that they have given you, mentorship, for the three of you, that has guided you through your career thus far?
I also never had a woman mentor, but I did have a man out of college. I had a journalism degree, and he was the editor of a magazine, and he just simply, he was like 6'4", and I'm 5'2", and he would just sort of drag me around and say, what do you think of that? Read this. Do you think we should publish this? And just the fact that he cared what I think gave me confidence in myself. And I think that was probably, that really just caring what another person thinks and showing an interest in them, I think is what you can give to anyone. It could even be a peer who's mentoring you, a friend who believes in you. But it really makes a difference, just the little bit of help.
I'll take that one. So I think with a lot of our stories, we're the first ones or one of the few to do something. So I think that's what makes it a challenge to find a woman mentor. My day job, other than being a politician, is I'm a real estate developer. Many times on a construction site, we had one where we had 400 construction employees, and most of the time I was the only female on the site. I was in charge, which made it pretty cool that the only female was in charge. But I didn't have male or female mentors in those cases, because it does feel like we're a little unique. But what I do have, and I can't live without, is a group of people in different sectors of my life. The girls that I went to the elementary school with, that we all support and love each other and just help each other on our journeys, no matter what we want to aspire to. My family and colleagues, political folks, that I can be myself and not feel judged for saying that I'm scared about something or I need help. And to me, that has been the only way that I stay sane in trying to be unique in the different things that I'm trying to do. So,
yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think that I wouldn't point to just one mentor in my life. I feel that I've been exposed to so many mentors at various levels in my life, whether that was obviously your family, which is a direct reflection, and then everyone that I've learned from. I just feel that I've been supported, and even when I was the trailblazer, there's still, like when you said, you have that group of girls, you have your posse, your tribe. You're going to need them as you continue going on in whatever career field that you have. But I would definitely say that. I'm always looking back at, well, what do you think? I think that goes back to me, trying to figure out all the answers all the time before. But the mentors, it's one of those that you want to make sure that it's always someone that you can call. It's always someone, what do you think of? I think that that's something that I utilize a lot.
Thank you. A lot of us just saw the film Lady Bird. If you haven't seen it yourselves, I think over Thanksgiving break it was a huge hit amongst Archer women. And what stood out to me the most, and what was supposed to stand out the most, was the mother-daughter relationship. And it really made me reflect on what my mom means to me, what my dad means to me. And I was just wondering if any of you could speak to what role your family has had in your career development.
My mom was a very interesting person, and I think she was she was really smart and really ambitious, but she was alive at a time when women weren't allowed to be really smart and ambitious. But she just and we were living in San Quentin prison, and she was bored out of her mind. So she would just get out and drive and start collecting antiques. I used to say, no, that's not an antique store. Oh, Mom, look at that, because she would drag us to things. And then who knew, later in life, I'm going around looking for antiques and looking for things to make homes beautiful. But I think just her desire and her drive, all of that got through to me on some level, even though what she wanted for me was to marry a successful man and to raise his children, keep my mouth shut, but that wasn't who she was. But sure enough, I did internalize who she was. And I've always, been driven to do something well and to do something that interested me.
Thank you.
My mother is now 97. When you're outside and walking to get pastries at Bellwood, you'll see her. She's out there all the time. She lives across the street. She has this little tan and white dog. She's unbelievable. And what I learned from her, still lives alone, 97. She's amazing. And smart, again, at a time when women weren't expected to achieve anything or do anything. She always worked. But it was about perseverance. No matter how bad things no matter what's happening, you just persevere. I have never heard this woman, unlike me, complain about anything ever, in the many, many years that I've known her. And it's just, no matter what the hurdle is, no matter what it is, she knits. She does the most intricate knitting. And she will sit there for hours and figure something out that nobody can figure out. Patterns, all of this kind of thing. Everything is done with a focus, and everything is finished, and everything is done right. And on top of it, she stays involved. She makes sweaters that she gives, they sell them at University Synagogue to raise money. She thinks of other people more than of herself. And those are great qualities to have. I would like to say I had all of them. I don't. But it's amazing. Just getting through it. It sounds simple, but it's a really hard thing to do as life becomes complicated.
Thank you.
I would definitely just say, especially seeing that amazing film, it's definitely going to be my mom, and it's because we always have a saying in our household, Nana's always right. And she is. And it's one of those where she's the wisest woman that I know, and I think that that's been a direct reflection on why I'm so resilient. You want to make your parents proud, and it's one of those where I really feel that she has always been, I'm an only child, and she's always been the #1 fan. No matter what you do, no matter how hard, and I've done, right and wrong things, she's always been the one that's like, it's okay, tough love, but then lots of love. So I think that it's definitely, she's the best.
This is an interesting question for me, because I think when I was your age, sitting here, I don't think I had the best relationship with my mom. I think it was very scary for them. I took the bus to private school. I took what was the RTD, the MTA now. I took the bus 2 hours each way to go to Westridge. And my parents were the hardest working people I can ever imagine. And they supported my journey in the way that they understood. But I was challenged with not really, it was such a different social economic class. I didn't know how to relate to my parents very much. But as I got older, I heard about their stories and what my dad did to come here. And I am so proud of that. I mean, I can't imagine. He was 17 years old and came here by himself. And, to work so hard to achieve what he could for his family is just, so admirable. But I don't think that I truly appreciated my relationship with my parents until I had a daughter of my own, including my mom, especially my mom. And now they are cheerleaders of mine, but in a different way. Like, my mom is very, very shy. She doesn't really want to communicate in English very much. And so for the campaign, she didn't really want to be a part of it. I asked her to come knocking door to door to the Spanish-speaking households, at least. And she did it once. And she mostly held the papers. She didn't really do it, but I know she wanted to be there for me. And so it ended up that she said, well, your volunteers need food. And my mom is the best cook that any of you will ever taste. Her Mexican food is amazing. And she discovered that that could be her role. And she ended up making food for the volunteers. And they talk about it to this day, about my mom's cooking. So that was the role that she found to support me. And I've learned now to appreciate that my parents maybe can't support me in the way that you would normally think, but that their hard work was their testament to me of encouraging me to pursue whatever I wanted to do.
Thank you. Whenever my brother has friends over, my mom always makes chia seed quinoa cookies, and it really upsets him, and he never wants to have anyone over because of these chia seed quinoa cookies. So hopefully one day my mom will be able to turn those,
he'll
turn those into
appreciate
something
chia
good.
seeds.
Yes, yes. It's true. We're gonna wrap it up with one final question that you can all answer. What are your hopes for women in your profession in the future?
I think that my hopes are, one, in that I started with, in the sense that I hope that women continue to really innovate for themselves, that they continue to, with all of the roles that everyone has talked about on here, that I think everyone has said, I wish I saw more. And I think that that's what I hope for, that we want to see more. We want to obviously have them follow their passions, but just continuing to reinforce that this entire universe is all of yours, and make sure that you take advantage of every opportunity thrown your way.
I agree about the opportunity. The fact that I accidentally did staging before I knew it was staging, I could have done that and then gone back to being a writer. I really think recognizing opportunity and running with the ball is what I'd like to see you all do. And just pay, everything can be an opportunity. And it really comes down to hard work. I know all these tech people, they make money overnight, and actors are famous overnight. It really isn't about that. It's really about waking up every day and doing the best that you can. And if you do that, I know that you will all change the world.
And one thing for Miss Meredith that you all, and I don't know if you've already seen it already, but I know you keep saying, I you had to have a little bit of talent somewhere, but I just accidentally fell into it. But if you need to go check out the parlor, because she's the one that did all of the fancy furniture in there and made it look beautiful. So make sure that y'all look.
It's simply that I walked into that room for the first time when Jeff Lotman brought me over, and I just instantly, I said, I've got to fix this.
Boy, did you. Boy, did you.
I think for me, watching the presidential campaign was one of the saddest experiences that I've had politically. It doesn't matter what you believe in as far as which choice was better, but the fact that Hillary Clinton's hair, wardrobe, and husband's actions were more of a headline than who she was, as far as what she was a proponent for, and her experience versus somebody else whose actions I believe were not presidential. But that's just my personal belief on that one. So if she was a man, it would have been completely different. And I think that's sad. And even now it happens to me. I know that I have to be more conservative. You touched on this topic. More conservative. I have to study harder the materials that I'm reading. And I just hope for the future that the women that are in office in 10, 20 years don't have to deal with that stuff. They don't have to worry about the sexual harassment. I mean, that's why? Why is that? Why has it been okay? So, in my little dream, and I believe if there was more of us, that would definitely start to change. So right away, I'm just gonna try to recruit you all to run.
And in my world, I want to see more young women stick with it. Our attrition rate is so high. Coming out of law school, there are actually more women than men, slightly more, 51, 52%. Young lawyers, women, outnumber men fairly significantly. And as you get up the ranks and get to the top echelons of law firms, the fall off, the attrition is incredible. The percentage of women partners at major firms is small, and the percentage of women partners who actually have a say in running law firms is minute, and women have to stick with it. Fortunately today, there are all kinds of flexible plans. When I started practicing, women put off having children. It was either your career or your family, and you don't have to do that anymore because law firms, businesses now make accommodations. You can work at home, and I would just 20 years from now would like to see as many female partners and as many women running law firms as the proportion between men and women, 50% at least, should be women, and probably more, because women are actually better at it than men, in my view.
Thank you so much. Let's give a round to our panelists. Thank you all. It's so inspiring to hear from you all, and we're so honored to have you here with us today. So thank you so much, ladies. Third period. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
That was so wonderful. Ooh, I dropped my pen. Your daughter is in 8th grade?
Yes.